Hey everybody and welcome to Vlogmas, and I can't not talk today about the breaking news that came out from Marvel Studios earlier on today that Jonathan Majors has been found guilty of assault charges, and Disney Marvel have wasted absolutely no time whatsoever in immediately basically sacking him. So this kind of leaves the current slate of Marvel movies that are scheduled to come over the next few years kind of in tatters to some degree, and doesn't really help the whole argument that Marvel Studios is kind of in a bit of a crisis right now. So basically, yes, Jonathan Majors has now been sacked by Marvel and by Disney, and it does put into jeopardy everything that was kind of coming up over the next few years for Marvel Studios. He was scheduled to play basically the lead character, the big bad villain, for maybe even the next up to like 10 years for this current slate of Marvel movies, and was certainly going to be playing the bad guy in the next Avengers movie called Kang Dynasty. And that's not to mention the fact that he's already been playing this character for the last few sort of movies, the last two series of Loki he featured in as various variants of that character, and also in Ant-Man Quantumania as well. So what are they going to do now? Needless to say, it's basically damage control, and it's pretty certain that they're going to recast the character. And to some degree, I feel like you can kind of get away with it a little bit with that particular character because he has so many variants of himself that appear over different timelines in the multiverse. It's not completely unreasonable that he would kind of look different in different versions of the realities in which he appears. And certainly it's been discussed before where maybe you could get somebody else playing like Iron Man or Captain America. So it stands to reason that you could equally get somebody else playing Kang and all of his various variants from the multiverse as we go forward into the next slate of movies. And Marvel Studios has been able to recast people before. I mean, just look at War Machine, for example. Nobody really batted an eyelid when that was recast. And to be honest, it's probably not the worst time to kind of do it now, before we get even closer to the next Avengers movies coming out and they start filming and doing all of those kinds of things. So it kind of isn't the worst thing in the world that it happens at this stage, and I imagine that there's probably going to be a number of different people that could be recast as Kang the Conqueror. I know John Boyega is sort of heavily rumoured to be one of the candidates for that, but he himself has come out and said that he definitely doesn't want to do it. I don't think he's ever really going to work with Disney again or anything associated with Disney after the whole Star Wars franchise and him not really featuring in it. So I kind of feel like it's going to go somewhere else. It is a bit of a shame because I do feel like Jonathan Majors' performance as Kang and all of the various variants, sort of like He Who Remains, for example, and Victor in the last series of Loki, he was really, really good, and it probably tested him as an actor to be able to have such range and play different versions of a character in such different ways. It was probably a lot of fun, but he did it really, really well. So it is a huge shame to kind of lose him. He also had massive physicality as Kang in his fight sequences and scenes, particularly in Ant-Man Quantumania. So I do think that it's quite big boots to fill, but that's not to say that there isn't somebody out there that's going to be capable of doing it. Now, it wasn't that long ago that there was a magazine article that was released. I think it was from Variety, basically the headline being that Marvel Studios is in tatters, it's in shambles, it's all falling apart and coming off the rails. And part of that sort of story was all basically because they were waiting for this verdict on Jonathan Majors to be announced. And now we know it's not gone his way and Disney have basically dropped him. It's kind of a question now of damage limitations and what do we do next. Overall, I wouldn't say that this is the biggest issue with Marvel Studios in their current movies. I think the biggest issue is the fact that what they're making just isn't very good. And it's not drawing in audiences anymore because they've kind of watered down their content by putting stuff on Disney Plus. And let's be honest, their recent movies have not been great, with maybe the exception of Guardians 3. So to me, the biggest issue is in their writing. It's not actually, I don't think, that bad and that big a deal with what's happening with Jonathan Majors. So I feel like Marvel has got bigger issues to worry about right now, but ultimately it doesn't really help, and this just adds to the pile of things that they've now got to fix. So there we go. So the question now is really going to be, who else can play Kang the Conqueror? So leave a comment. Let me know, who do you think could actually play him and be recast for that role? I dare say that there are a very long list of names that could go into the hat for that, but let me know what you think. And on that bombshell, it's time to end. So I'll see you in tomorrow's episode. We are going to do some more Marvel reviews of everything that came out this year. That is my plan. So please do subscribe and follow along for that. And with that said, we're all done, and I'll see you guys real soon.